You know, as many of you know, before I was elected as vice president, before I was elected as United States Senator, I was the elected Attorney General, as I've mentioned, of California. And before that, I was a courtroom prosecutor. In those roles, I took on perpetrators of all kinds. Predators who abused women, fraudsters who ripped off consumers, cheaters who broke the rules for their own gain. So hear me when I say, I know Donald Trump's type. And in this campaign, I will proudly put my record against his. As a young prosecutor, when I was in the Alameda County District Attorney's Office in California, I specialized in cases involving sexual abuse. Donald Trump was found liable by a jury for committing sexual abuse. As Attorney General of California, I took on one of our country's largest for-profit colleges and put it out of business. Donald Trump ran a for-profit college, Trump University, that was forced to pay $25 million to the students it scammed. As district attorney, to go after polluters, I created one of the first environmental justice units in our nation. Donald Trump stood in Mar-a-Lago and told big oil lobbyists he would do their bidding for a $1 billion campaign contribution. During the foreclosure crisis, I took on the big Wall Street banks and won $20 billion for California families, holding those banks accountable for fraud. Donald Trump was just found guilty of 34 counts of fraud.
That right there is the stuff of nightmares for Donald Trump. It is bad enough that he's trying to become president as a 34-time convicted felon. That unto itself is disqualifying. But now, Donald Trump the felon is running against Kamala Harris the prosecutor. And just like she prosecuted people exactly like him for her entire career, now she's able to prosecute the case against him for the presidency. So yeah, if you could scientifically engineer the worst possible candidate for Trump to run against, she'd probably look like Kamala Harris. And here's the difference from last week to this week. And I say this with every ounce of respect and admiration for Joe Biden, but he wasn't able to articulate the case against Donald Trump. He wasn't able to effectively hit him on his massive liabilities. But Kamala is not only able to do it, this stuff is quite literally her background. It's her entire life and her career. It's what they've all prepared her to do. She knows how to expose frauds and criminals, sex predators and cheats. In fact, she was so effective at it that Donald Trump literally donated $6,000 to her campaign for California Attorney General. So if anyone knows how devastating she could be, it's probably the guy who donated to ensure that she could keep doing it. And now, she'll continue doing it for the next 4 months, only it'll be against Donald Trump himself. And by the way, it remains to be seen whether Trump will show up to debate Kamala Harris in September, but already all signs point to no. Trump took to Truth Social yesterday, writing, "My debate with crooked Joe Biden, the worst president in the history of the United States, was slated to be broadcast on fake news ABC, the home of George Slopapadopoulos, sometime in September. Now that Joe has, not surprisingly, quit the race, I think the debate with whomever the radical left Democrats choose should be held on Fox News rather than very biased ABC. Thank you." In other words, now that he doesn't have to go up against Biden, but rather Kamala, suddenly the goalposts are shifting. Suddenly, neutral ABC isn't good enough, he needs help. He needs some biased anchors over at Fox to tag team in with him because he knows he isn't capable of debating her himself. And so he wants Sean Hannity or Judge Jeanine or Jesse Waters or anybody else there to help him because he knows he can't do it alone. That's the tough guy. That's the strong man. Can't even bring himself to get on a debate stage without calling in the cavalry. Let me ask you this. If Trump can't even manage to debate his Democratic opponent, how is he going to be able to go head to head with our enemies? If you're looking for weak, Donald Trump is putting it on full display. And here's where it got especially bad for Trump, because it's not just his legal issues that pose a liability for him, it's also his position on the most potent issue facing voters right now.
If Trump gets the chance, he will sign a national abortion ban to outlaw abortion in every single state, but we are not going to let that happen. And when Congress passes a law to restore reproductive freedoms, as President of the United States, I will sign it into law.
Here's the thing. Kamala has spent the last year crisscrossing the country being an ambassador for the campaign on one issue in particular, and that's the issue of abortion rights. And it just so happens to be an issue that is so bad for Republicans, they've lost races in Ohio, Alabama, Kentucky, Kansas, and Virginia over it. And it also just so happens to be the issue that Donald Trump is solely responsible for.
Especially since I was proudly the person responsible for the ending of something that all legal scholars, both sides, wanted and, in fact, demanded be ended. Roe v. Wade. They wanted it ended.
So you want to talk about a perfect storm? It is the guy responsible for the least popular policy in modern American history, running in an election that is largely a referendum on that very issue against a woman who has made that issue the cornerstone of her campaign. I'm not saying Trump is screwed, but yeah, no, that's exactly what I'm saying. So look, I get that Trump is salty now because he built his entire campaign around saying that Joe Biden is old and demanding that he can't serve another 4 years. Well, guess what? Trump got what he wanted, an acknowledgement that Joe Biden can't serve another 4 years. Only problem was that he got that concession before the Democratic convention, while there was still time for his VP to pick up the reins and continue this race. And that's exactly what happened. And now, it's going to be 4 months of a race not predicated on wall-to-wall coverage of Biden's age, but rather a race focused on the actual issues, all at the hands of a candidate who can deal blow after blow to Donald Trump. It's going to be 4 months of telling voters exactly who Trump is, exactly what he stands for, exactly what freedoms and rights he's seeking to strip away. And I know Trump's lost a step, but time will tell if the guy who thinks Hannibal Lecter was a great American will be able to punch back. But frankly, I'm not really holding my breath. I've got a really exciting announcement. I've written a book. It's called Shameless. This book explores how Republicans have exploited their historical branding while attacking our democracy, how the media has proven itself a willful participant, and how Democrats can learn from this to rebalance the political scales and save our democracy. It has been a lifelong dream of mine to write my own book, and so I'd like to ask you to pre-order it by clicking the link right here on the screen. And if you buy within this pre-order period, your book is going to come with a signed nameplate. As you know, I've never had a single sponsor on my channel. I don't ask for money or anything like that, but if you're looking for a way to support me, this is hands down the best way to do it. So again, follow the link right here on the screen, and thank you from the bottom of my heart for pre-ordering Shameless. And as always, make sure to subscribe to see more of my content.